boys. Huh? Where the... Oh, it's you again. You, Mr. Faceless. Shut up. Now listen. The Q&A has been a success. We've got enough questions to make a decent sized video. And so that means I have to let you go.
Oh, thank fuck. I didn't know what the fuck we were gonna do now, weren't we?
Oh, shut up. Now listen, the only thing I want you to do before you leave is edit the Q&A video. Edit the Q&A video? Oh, piss off. Oh, shut up. Piss yourself off, you stupid twat.
Oh, yippee, please shut up. You're gonna make things even worse.
Even worse than they already are, George.
Yes, yippee. Even worse.
Just edit the video and then you'll go.
Okay then.
You know who I am and you know why I'm here. So welcome to this 3-year anniversary Q&A. I've wanted to do a Q&A for a while, but honestly, based on the fact that I've done like polls before and nobody asked any questions, I didn't bother. But now I thought it was the right time because the 3rd year anniversary on YouTube was coming up, and honestly, thank you for every single person who stuck with me, even though I haven't grown that much as a channel per se, you know, because I haven't grown in subscriber count much, except like I've got like 50 odd now. But you know, you guys kind of motivate me, you know, to continue, because I've considered like quitting YouTube for a couple of times, but you know, the show must go on. And I can't thank you guys enough. In fact, Darkside Phil, can you thank them for me?
Thank you, you fucking worthless humans, for the views.
Oh, that'll do. That'll be fine. That'll be fine. Just go away, Darkside Phil. We don't want to see you on this channel anymore anyway. You're a fucking idiot. So, with this Q&A, I asked you to submit questions 4 months ago, and I managed to get about 8 comments and about 20 odd questions. So, without any further ado, let's dive in. And also, I'd like to thank every single person who's left a question. It's brilliant of you, you know, to take that time out, although some of it was kind of harassment based, you know, because I asked them, hey, do you want to leave a question in the Q&A? And they said okay, and so on. But I don't consider it like harassment based, because I wasn't like bugging them every single day to do it, you know, I was being proper. But in other words, let's get started. Okay, so the first question comes in from John Gage, whose first question is, what is your favourite film? Now, I don't really have like a definitive favourite film per se, because, you know, there's so many and my opinions could change. You know, there's different films I like, you know, for different reasons. But if I had to narrow down a top 5 in no particular order, it would be Jaws, Monty Python and the Holy Grail, Back to the Future, the original RoboCop, and A Clockwork Orange. They're all masterpieces, really, of cinema. You know, they're all great, and I can't really think of anything else to say. So, moving on. The second question from John Gage is, what is your favourite comedy series? It's very hard to pick again, you know, because there's so many good ones. I might go for Red Dwarf, but Red Dwarf got a bit iffy during Series 7 when they got rid of Chris Barry. Probably, if I had to pick, if I was at gunpoint, I probably would go for Bottom. Everything just kind of worked for that. Of course, the late great Rick Mayall and Adrian Edmondson are both legends, and you know, obviously it's kind of more relatable than, let's say, The Young Ones was, but The Young Ones is still fantastic. In fact, depending on the day, I could have said The Young Ones, and I'm also fond of stuff like Some Others Down and Fawlty Towers, but I probably would go for Bottom, but it could change, you know, for different reasons. But when I'm referring to bottom, I'm referring to the TV series. I'm not referring to the live shows, because I've only seen the first 3 and they're good. They're good live shows. You know, they could get away with a lot more than the TV show could, because they could get away with a lot more swearing and a lot more sexual stuff, but I just found the TV show better. Right, so the next set of questions comes from the original being, who asks, do you own any video nasties? I don't own any video nasties on their original tape formats, on like pre-search or anything, because they're rarer than hen's teeth, because remember, they were seized by the police during the 80s and they were probably destroyed, so there's probably only like a small amount that are still out there. In terms of modern formats, I've only got one, and this one really kind of doesn't count, because it's not like, I don't know, Cannibal Holocaust or Anthropophagus the Beast or something, which appeared on the DPP 39 list. This one appeared on the Section 3 list, which meant that they were seized, but you wouldn't get prosecuted for them. You wouldn't get into trouble or anything. And this one was a film that was never cut in this country, oddly enough, despite it appearing on the list. I don't get why it appeared on the list at all. I can see to a limited extent, and that being John Carpenter's The Thing. What an amazing movie. If you haven't seen The Thing, watch it. It's one of the best sci-fi horror films ever made, and it's a lot better than Alien, but that's just my opinion. And whilst I don't have any proper video nasties, I've got a few that were like banned in the UK for a while, you know, whether or not it be banned on home video or were withdrawn from British distribution, including Clockwork Orange, The Exorcist, Bad Lieutenant, Reservoir Dogs and Natural Born Killers. So that's my answer to that question. Okay, so the second question is, what is your favourite DVD box set? Now, I've got 2, and one of them technically doesn't count because it's a Blu-ray set, but I assume you're being broad, as in movies on disc, DVD becoming a verb rather than a noun. So I suppose you can include Blu-rays as well. But the DVD box set would have to be the complete Batman collection, the 1960s series. This was one which they took a very long time to get released, because it was never released on like VHS or anything because of some rights issues or something that prohibited them from releasing it. And then in 2014 they decided, you know what, fuck it, we'll release it. And this particular edition, now the US Blu-ray edition is a bit more desirable because it's got like a set of cards and a model Batmobile. But this particular DVD, although obviously the Blu-ray would have better quality, they didn't skimp on anything on the DVD like they usually do. All the extras that were on the Blu-ray, as far as my knowledge, have been ported over to the DVD. And combined with the fact that even on DVD, the quality looks brilliant, especially when you compare it to the way you had to have watched it, you know, before they finally got their shit together and they finally released it. Because, you know, the versions on YouTube before the set came out were a bit iffy. They were taped off the TV, and that was the way I actually watched them, you know, on YouTube, taped off American television. So it's nice to have the box set, and the quality, although obviously it is downscaled to standard definition, the Blu-ray would have, you know, like a sharper picture and so on, but still it looks brilliant and is definitely a recommended purchase if you like Adam West Batman, like I'm one of the few. And the second one is the Blu-ray box set, and it is the Stanley Kubrick Visionary Filmmaker Collection. Now this one is a slight reissue because the original release came in a thicker box and it had a booklet with it. And this one, although most of the discs are ported over from the previous editions, like Clockwork Orange for example, I believe the discs come from the US Digibook edition, and unfortunately with the UK one It's missing out on Spartacus and Doctor Strangelove, but I've got Doctor Strangelove separately. And it doesn't have the extended version of The Shining, the one that was originally released. It's got the European 119-minute cut, but I've got the American 144-minute cut on Blu-ray already. So it's not too much of a problem. But if you're into filmmaking, and especially if you love Stanley Kubrick like I do, this box set is a must-have. It's basically got all his essential movies, and so it's a good way to start collecting his films if you're interested. And you know, with the releases themselves, many of the releases look extraordinary. Like 2001 really stands out on Blu-ray, even though I know there's a 4K edition out, which I won't be buying anytime soon because I don't have a 4K player or 4K TV. But still, it is brilliant. Some of the other box sets I've got have kind of failed, you know, to appear on the list, you know, because some of them, like, I would have put the Dial collection on there, but unfortunately many of the discs, it skimps out many of the bonus features, and annoyingly Die Hard 3 is cut in that particular DVD set. They removed most of the swearing, which is really fucking annoying. And one of the worst box sets I've got, which is a box that I originally paid a pretty penny for, was the Bond collection. And the problem with that is, whilst the Blu-ray collection's fine, you know, you get all the extras, everything you want with it, the DVD, you don't get any bonus features because they just repackaged the first disc out of a 2-disc collection, which is things they always do with box sets, particularly DVD ones. And I hate it when they do that. But I'm not going to continue ranting because that doesn't really answer your question. Your question is the best collection, not the worst. But we'll continue. So the next set of questions comes from 20th Century Gaming. Its first question is, first film you saw at the cinema? That would be the Simpsons movie, which I saw back in 2007. Which, in hindsight, you know, I shouldn't have gone and watched or something, because I didn't get like many of the adult jokes, and now I'm an adult, I do. You know, although it hasn't worked as well as a film, it just feels more like a feature-length episode, kind of like a lot of TV to film adaptations. But it's still a good film, still good fun. The second question is your favourite British actor. So I've got 3 main ones: Alan Rickman, Malcolm McDowell and Tim Roth. Alan Rickman, I've not seen him in much stuff, mainly because a lot of his stuff, like his period dramas and such, don't interest me, but to be honest, you know, he's brilliant. He's a brilliant actor from what I've seen him in. You know, from his first role in a film, which was as the main villain in Die Hard, that is one of his best performances, and it's one of his first appearances on film. It's his first appearance. Okay, he had appearances on TV and on stage, but, you know, that was brilliant. And he was the only good thing about Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Second one would be Tim Roth. Now, Tim Roth I didn't know about until I got into Quentin Tarantino, because he appeared in quite a lot of Tarantino's films. But I just like his presence, you know, I like sort of his acting skills. And, you know, I just enjoy watching him, you know, in like... It's a shame that he hasn't, like, gotten the acclaim that a lot of other actors have done, you know, because pretty much he's only kind of known for his Tarantino work and his early British indie film work. He's not poked into Hollywood like a lot of other actors have done, especially the ones that have worked with Tarantino. And Malcolm McDowell, I've always loved Malcolm McDowell, you know, I just love his voice, I love his presence on screen, you know, and his acting chops, you know, even though he does always kind of get typecast as villains, even though he even mentions that in interviews that he wants to play a hero character at some point. But I think definitely his best role, and probably the reason why he's one of my favourite actors, is Clockwork Orange. Alex DeLarge is one of the best characters in cinema, and Malcolm McDowell plays that role brilliantly, and it's a great film as well. It's an absolute favourite, controversial as hell, but still. And his final question is, if you had a time machine, what would you go to the past to witness from the past or future? I don't know. Honestly, I can't think of any like events that I would want to go and witness. I probably would go back to like, I'm sounding a bit stupid this, but the 70s or the 80s, when there were decent things on television, and when there were decent films at the cinema, because obviously now you can't get away with anything on TV anymore. It's just, oh, you can't say that, oh, you can't do that. Get the fuck over it. But probably, or maybe, maybe it's a joke, I probably would go to the future as well, just to see how badly the world has fucked up, and probably just laugh at it, but to be honest, I'm weird, so I can't really give you a conclusive answer. If time travel did exist, it'd be an archivist's wet dream, because I'm pretty sure if time travel existed, all the episodes of Doctor Who that have gone missing would most likely turn up. But still, it won't exist. But it's nice to think that, and it could exist, but we don't know when. So the next question's coming from the Classics Race. His first question is favourite lubricant brand. WD-40. Without question, WD-40. It works brilliantly with, like your technological items and so on. And yeah, I'm joking. Yeah, I'm joking. I know exactly what kind of poo you mean, and don't have one. His next question is favourite BBFC chairman. It's very hard to say, really, because there's lots of the famous ones, like like John Trevelyan and James Furman and stuff. I didn't care for James Furman just because, sure, he had a very difficult period, because he had to deal with like the video nasties and so on, and he was in the role for the longest time. He was in the role for about 20 odd years, but he pretty much ruined every single film that ever went through him. A lot of great films have been cut by him, and that is really quite annoying. Now I have to research if a film was cut or not, thanks to James Furman. Thank you, Jimmy. So definitely not James Furman. I might go for Robin Duvall, who was Furman's successor, because he passed a lot of the films that Furman refused to uncut. Like he passed Texas Chainsaw Massacre and The Exorcist for the first time. Thanks to him, you could finally buy them on like VHS or DVD or something. And he passed pretty much all the Bruce Lee films uncut. But it's very hard to say, because he was a bit iffy with some films. Like, why did he still cut Last House on the Left? I'll never know. But I think definitely Robin Duvall or John Trevelyan, because I don't know why. I think John Trevelyan, I don't know why I like him, I just do. And I feel sorry for somebody like Steve Murphy, because he had the most controversial, films to deal with in the early 70s. Because in the early 70s, he had to deal with films like Death Wish, Clockwork Orange, Straw Dogs. And I can see why he retired prematurely. But, yeah, probably the answer would definitely be Robert Duvall. And his final question is, favourite James Furman torture method? I don't know what you mean by that question. Is it referring to the torture of the person, of like the person who's watching the films, or the way you torture James Furman himself? I'd probably, if I was to torture James Furman, I'd stick him in a giant room and show him along with every single other member of the public, and make them watch. Not the members of the public, no, I take that back, just James Furman. I'd stick him in a giant room with tons of screens of every single film he's either cut or banned, and just show them uncut to him, to see if his head explodes. But probably like his favourite torture method for me is probably him cutting swearing from films, which I do not get why you have to cut swearing from films, because I don't have a problem with swearing. They're just words, because the only time you should really cut films, and even then that's very broad, because you should never cut films in general, is for violence, because obviously violence is a criminal offence. Sex, kind of on the same vein as swearing, but on a slightly higher pedestal. But yeah, I can't really answer that question. So the next question comes from Stefano Pavone, who asks one question this time. Do you speak any other languages besides English? Not really, not fluently. I mean, I got into like Spanish when I was younger, but I can't remember most of the words, honestly. You know, I've kind of never really learned any new languages. And of course, obviously, when I was in school, we learned French, which I've forgotten which I don't remember much of it apart from some of the key phrases. But I don't know if I'll learn any more languages, just because I'm not great at learning languages, you know. I would like to learn Japanese, but don't know. I can't even pronounce most English words properly, so what the hell chances am I going to have of pronouncing another language properly? It's going to be impossible. So the next 3 questions come in from Amiga Bang. His first one is favourite puzzle game. I don't know, because honestly, if this counts, probably solitaire, like not like the gambling solitaires in Patience, but that doesn't really count because it's not natively a video game, rather it's a card game that you can play virtually. Tetris is probably the most well known, and I probably would go for Tetris, but I don't really know. His second question is favourite Amiga game. Mr. Blobby. I'm joking. It's really top banana. Okay, I'm gonna stop with the joking now. Probably Stunt Car Racer. I haven't played many Amiga games because I don't think Amiga games generally interest me in the same way that, let's say, the 8-bit computers did. Because I mean, if you ask me like favourite Spectrum game or something, then I probably could answer that question easily. But the only sort of game from the Amiga that I've been able to play and I've actually enjoyed is Stunt Car Racer, even though I'm absolutely dreadful at it. And his final question is favourite strategy game. I don't know, I've not played that many strategy games, if any, because most strategy games generally things like the modern gaming consoles and so on, and I don't generally play modern games, mainly because they're too expensive. They take you're more like watching. They've got too many cutscenes, and yeah, they just don't interest me. But I don't know of any favourite strategy games, so I can't really answer that one. And the final set of questions comes from Aidan Slater. His first question is, do you own any Nickelodeon DVDs? Yes, I do, although I can't provide you visual evidence of them. When I was younger, I used to really be into SpongeBob SquarePants, and I owned quite a lot of the DVD releases. Oddly, there were the volume ones, you know, the ones with the select number of episodes. I didn't have any of the season sets, which I do regret now, considering the fact that now that I collect, like, the few TV shows I actually buy nowadays, I tend to buy the season sets, or I tend to buy a complete collection if there is a complete collection out there. But yeah, SpongeBob SquarePants. His next question is, have you seen any episodes from Thomas and Friends season 22, aka Big World Big Adventures? No. Not to sound like cynical or anything, but I've stopped watching Thomas years ago. Well, stopped watching it properly because I kind of grew out of it. And I know it makes me sound terrible saying that, but it's true. I've kind of grown out of it long before the CGI gubbins came in. And if I had to go for if I was going to have to watch Thomas, I'd probably watch like the older ones, like some of the Ringo Starr ones and so on. The CGI just doesn't look right. You know, it was better when it was a lot more limited, when all the characters' eyes moved. But yeah, that's the answer. His third question is, have you ever watched the TV series Brum? Yes, I did. When I was younger, they used to repeat on CBeebies quite a lot. I don't think I can provide like an opinion on it, but yeah, I did used to watch it. And honestly, out of all the Ragdoll series, it's the one that probably is less drug influenced. Because with many of them, like Teletubbies, I swear they were on something when they wrote that. But with that one, you know, they were fairly sober, a little bit drunk, but you know, what are you going to do about it? And his final question is, do you own any Grand Theft Auto video games? I don't. My dad used to own GTA Vice City on the PC, but I think he got rid of that ages ago. And I know he has, and I think he still has Grand Theft Auto 4 also on the PC, because I used to watch him play it quite a lot when I was younger, when we had a home PC. But, you know, I've never played it, and I'm not sure if he still has it. I'm not sure if he still has it on disc. I'll have to inquire about him later. I've got Simpsons Hit and Run though. Does that count? No, probably not, because on a video I watched, it turns out it wasn't originally inspired by GTA. It just kind of turned into a GTA clone as the development continued. But yeah, that really is kind of the end of the questions. So that's the end of the Q&A. I hope you've enjoyed it. Let's hope for 3 more years, until YouTube, of course, fucks everything up and sets everything on fire or something. But still, I'll see you all next time. Cheers.